Welcome to TikTok Live. Fantastic. I must have done something right. And it's like, you cannot possibly go live without listing a product to sell. And so I'm sorry, there's a product to sell. So what color do I want his hair to be? I've got the grays for him. I want kind of a warm gray for this. This is Rhodes. I'm thinking 757 maybe? How would that look together? Is that too warm? 758. So this is, that's 757, this is 758. These are Arteza alcohol markers, and what I do is I commission artwork of my characters and then I make them into these fun coloring book style postcards that I package my books with. So if you want to color one of my characters, whoops, I'm outside the lines, you can. And I am not the most entertaining person in the world, so I thought it would be less boring doing a live if you watch me doing something. But this is Rhodes, and in my book Orphan Lost, he is the heir to the Fae throne. He's born of 2 courts, which is not normal. There was an alliance for peace, and because of that, he doesn't quite fit in. In his family, his royal family, it's common to have 2 colored eyes in the direct bloodline, which he does. I think I need to call that skin toned. Oh, no. That's actually hair. My bad. This isn't going to be perfect. It never is. The point is doing the artwork, not how well it turns out or whether or not you can sell it. So this is Rhodes, and we start out with him finding out that he has an arranged marriage, and he doesn't want to get married to this chick. It's a marriage set up by his mother, the queen, and she's standing in for his father, who is currently missing. Like, that's not at all sus. And she's setting up an arranged marriage for him, and he's looking for loopholes, because he and his court do not want to get married. It's implied that the arranged marriage would not actually involve all members of his court, but when he runs into our little human friend Stella, and she offers to marry them as a fake marriage, because obviously it wouldn't be a real marriage, and obviously Fae aren't real. Instead of it just being vows exchanged and basically a piece of paper, the fates intervene, and she becomes bound with a fated mate bond to all of the guys in this court. Because I write reverse harem. Like, it's my shtick. And this guy is the prince and the head of that court. The markers I'm using are Arteza. No, I don't have links for them. I don't sell markers. You can find them pretty easily. I usually use Ohuhu, but the Arteza skin tones are particularly good for darker skin tones. And the Ohuhu ones, they have darker skin tones, but they come out with kind of a greenish tint, and that's not usually what I'm going for. Anyway, Rhodes agrees to marry these guys, and in an instant, what was just a game, basically, a loophole in the rules, becomes very, very real. And so they hide her, and they wipe her memory of getting married so that she can just go off in her human world and not have to worry about Fae politics and all that is involved in that. So they go off to their hometown, and Stella, who is a military brat, moves with her parents to the next base. And that's the prologue for this, is the establishment of the arranged marriage and the fake marriage that goes wrong. So when you start the book, Stella does not remember these guys. Not even a little bit. Not even the slightest bit. Okay, is this running? I can't really tell. I don't know what I'm doing. Live liftoff. I don't know what live liftoff is or why I would want it. I'm not even 100% sure this is live. I'm probably talking to myself, but that's okay. I'm just going to sit and color. I'm thinking his eyes are blue and green, which is because he's part of the royal family. And he's part of the direct family line. Ooh, I should probably not be coloring on top of my other coloring sheets because it will bleed through. These are alcohol markers. So let me look at the colors and see what we've got for eye colors. And the howling in the background is my dog. He thinks that this is the most boring thing that I've done all week and that I should be playing with him instead of talking to you. Right, Coda? So if you hear little clicky, clicky, clicky noises, it is definitely my dog walking around in the background. 183 is the color I want. And I have a ton of markers. I keep them in the bags. There's probably a better way to do this, but I keep them in storage when I'm not using them, and so I don't want to have them as a display because that would just be an absolute pain in the behind. So one eye is green. And by the way, this piece of artwork is one that I commissioned of my characters from Chelsea, and I'm not sure how to say her last name. But if you drop a note in the comments and I see it, I will definitely link you to her TikTok because, or I guess she has an Instagram, because her artwork is amazing. And she did full color pieces, but I wanted like coloring book pieces because I like things that you can do and not just collect. And so if you order a book from me, you will get one of these coloring sheets, probably one of each of the guys, because I have enough of them still. And then you can color them. And if they don't turn out wonderful and it really bugs you, you can tell me and I will send you a new set. But Chelsea did these and, oops, I got some dust on there. My house is dusty. But her artwork is amazing, and she was kind enough to give me the line art that she did for it. I think I want B111. B111. Here it is. Nope, that's 110. There's like multiple sets of markers here, so it's going to be a second while I find this. I try and keep them pretty well organized, but sometimes there's just no winning. That's B110. No, I do want B110. I just can't read. So if you get one of my books and you don't like how the coloring turned out on the coloring sheets I send you, you can always ask me for more sheets. I will not be offended. Or you can leave them blank. Or if you really want, you can ask for one of the ones I do on the live stream, because why not? I need a black now, and I do have a ton of blacks because that's my most commonly used background color. And it is an absolute pain in the behind to do eyes so that they're looking straight. And like, I can draw from a photograph, so if you give me a photograph I can copy it, but I am not like an artist who does character art, so I commission my art. What color should we do for the background? What's opposite on the color wheel? Orange? Green? I think green would kind of clash with the skin tone. I want something warmer, maybe like a purple. So I think I want a purple for the background. So let's look through my colors again. I want something that's a little bit worn. This is Rhodes. He is the prince in my Fae Prince story. The premise behind it is that, I think this lavender blue V340. The premise behind it is they get married to break an arranged marriage as kids, and it's supposed to be in jest, and instead the fates intervene and it becomes magically binding and they are fated mates. So there is the prince, which is Rhodes here, and his court of 3 other guys. One for each season in the Fae court, and one human girl who doesn't really know what's going on or why she should be involved or why she should trust these guys, because they remember marrying her but they wiped her memory, so she doesn't know anything about them. And she's a military brat, so she just wanders off into the wild blue yonder with her family until we get to the beginning of the book, when we have an international dispute and her parents are killed and she is put on the orphan bus to be adopted out as a military orphan. And she ends up in the town these Fae have taken over. And the marriage is what makes the binding star on her cheek. That Fae fated mate binding made a scar with 1 point for each member of the marriage, and she has had it tattooed over to make it less obvious, which, you know, kids' logic is not that great. It's probably a million times more obvious than just a plain scar would be, but she wants it to be less obvious. Let's see. So I basically saw somebody's Tumblr post forever ago, and if you find this particular post where they're like, an arranged marriage as children that turns out to be legally binding, I really want a copy of that, because that's what inspired this story, and I, being an idiot, did not save the post that inspired me. So somebody out there deserves definite credit, and I can't give it to them because I don't have the Tumblr post. But it's basically a meme style screen capture that says, what if you're a bunch of kids and you get married for pretend on the playground and it turns out to be legally binding. Except I turned it into a fate bond with Fae and a magical war and an international dispute, and complicated it up unnecessarily probably, but it was fun to write. Book 1 is out, and that's this Orphan Lost. Book 2 is going to the editor in, today's the 15th, 15 days. And so his name is Ethan, and he will be going through it and helping me turn my hot mess into something that is actually enjoyable to read. Normally I make a pretty clean first draft, but my mother was dying through this, and my first draft is just a hot mess. Normally I work with a different editor but he almost died this year. I don't know, this sounds like a soap opera, or not like a soap opera, like a country song. You know, my dog died, which my dog did die. My mother died, she also died. And my editor almost died, but he didn't actually. And so he's recovering, and so I have another editor that I'm working with instead, because I don't want to put too much shit on his plate when he's struggling already, you know? So the new editor's name is Ethan. He seems very nice. I've been emailing him. He was recommended by Kate Hall. She met him at a convention and had nothing but good things to say about him. So I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a try. Okay, that is the purple. I want probably to contrast a cool gray for his white undershirt. So something maybe, because this is a cool kind of lavender purple. BG1 maybe? No, that's blue gray. BG1. And my brother says hi. Hello, dear brother of mine. If you saw him pop up on the screen, I'm sorry. I don't know like what you can see on my screen, so if you hear binging, it is my little brother. I think I'm gonna go for like, I don't want to go for too warm of a gray, but like this neutral gray here might be good. NG1 in my millions of markers. These are Ohuhu markers. Like, I can't afford Copics. I'm sorry. Copics are wonderful to work with, and I've got maybe 20 of them because they're like $8 a piece, and I just don't have the funds for that. But Ohuhu markers come out to between 50 cents and 75 cents a marker, and so that's something much more reasonable. NG1. Here we go. I'm thinking I'm going to make his like coat plaid maybe. Very exciting information, but I think a plaid coat would be cute. This might not be dark enough. But this is Rhodes. And when you order one of my books, I send character sheets with any book of mine that you order, because I enjoy coloring and they're fun, and like I have the commissioned artwork for my website and for, you know, online events and stuff, so I have something pretty to give out as like stickers and stuff, because I also give out stickers. But I like coloring pages. I think they're fun, and I see no reason why I can't give them out. And this is printed with Vistaprint, and they actually did a good enough job with the coloring pages that it's like behaving pretty close to properly as marker paper. So I'm really impressed by that, because I was just guessing at what might be a good coloring page. I think I want 182 for the green. And I want 183. Hi, Coda. Coda. 183. 181 is too green. 182 is good. 183 is somewhere in here. I'm just not seeing it. 180. And I apologize for the state of my nails. They are absolutely horrific right now. I have been a little stressed and chewing them. Because seriously, last year was like a country song. My dog died, my mother was dying, my husband shattered his leg, the cars broke down, like everything that could happen went bad. My editor almost died. So it was a rough year. But book 2 for this series goes to the editor in about 15 days. I want a kind of a yellow. And that editor will go through and tell me that it is a hot mess and hopefully give me a nice check sheet, which is my favorite because I actually really enjoy edits. Drafting is fun, but it can be a real grind, especially if you're drafting quickly like I tend to. But I really enjoy getting edits back from the editor and making the checklist and turning a hot mess into something that's enjoyable to read. So that's always really fun. Let's see. 49, where are you? You can't see this, but I'm looking through like a million markers here. I've got them on end so that the numbers are up, but there's still a pain in the behind to find what you're looking for. Well, let me start with the green and then I'll look again in a minute and maybe I'll see it. I think I'm going to do a plaid. So my new editor was introduced to me by Kate Hall, and she just did this really cool class on like how you should use TikTok and don't be afraid of talking to people on the internet and don't be afraid of putting your face on the internet. So I'm going to see if he's a good fit for me. And actually, the snarkier the editor is, like the funnier their comments are, like they can be downright mean if they're funny, and I will not be upset. I am not particularly touchy about edits. But I'm hoping he's snarky. He seems very snarky just talking to him, and I like that. And he was a technical editor before, so we're going to see how well this translates into fiction. Fortunately, he does not mind the smutty scenes because I write reverse harem, and one of the expectations of that genre is a fair amount of smut, which I don't... Writing it is always embarrassing, but I don't mind having it in my books. And the book will go to him, book 2, this is book 1. On the 1st of November, let's see, I want this to be a thin stripe. Make this kind of go under the lip of his shirt. And then he does about a 2-week turnaround. If you at all read the first book, you're aware that my life went to hell and I blew my pre-order. So I'm hoping to get this turned around for the people who are waiting on that and that they don't have to wait for very much longer. My normal editor also does proofreading, so he will be doing the proofreading. He's recovered enough for that, I think. But for content edits, I needed like someone with a little more energy because he has been tired and sick and he almost died, like seriously. So I would not normally work with a different editor. He's funny and I really enjoy working with him, but he's going to do my proofread. He's very meticulous about that, and one of the few things that you see in the reviews on my books is that my proofreading is really clean, and that is 100% due to Anthony being very, very good at what he does, and I just trust whatever he tells me. And he also cites like such and such rule that you broke and this is why it's wrong, and makes a snarky comment which makes it enjoyable. I really like editing though. I'm looking forward to editing Captured Pawn. I'm also drafting right now, and if you're familiar with NaNoWriMo, you know a lot of authors will draft in November. So NaNoWriMo does not actually exist anymore, unfortunately. There was a whole drama, and NaNoWriMo, at least in my opinion, did not respond appropriately, and they got their funding cut. So that's just, it's gone now. But a lot of people are getting together and still drafting in November. And so I will be drafting a book unrelated to this one. Right now I have Captured Pond waiting for edits. I have the second book in my Okuch Mountains series waiting for edits, and I have one book I'm drafting. I can't write in either this series or the other series that I have books waiting because I have books waiting and I don't know what changes I'm going to make because of edits. So I can't add to them until I've gotten the edits done, as I throw things on the floor. But I'm drafting another reverse harem because I write nothing but reverse harem. And it is a zombie post-apoc that I am just having a ridiculous amount of fun coming up with ridiculous zombie situations. Like zombies in the deep fat fryer. Like, I try and come up with the most bizarre situations I can with the zombies. Like, I don't want them to be scary in my book. I want them to be funny. Okay, here is the green I wanted. That'll work. I'll just do it vertically though, and do like a yellow. And if I send you a book, if you order one, or if I send you one, sometimes I send them as gifts. Which is very conceited, being like, hey, here's my book, it's a present. But I will also include some of these coloring sheets with you. And if you color them and you don't like how it turned out, I am always willing to send more coloring sheets because I think it's fun. I also am looking at setting up, it's going to sound silly, but I want to do scratch and sniff bookmarks with the characters' art, because one of the tropes of like a megaverse especially, but I don't write a megaverse, of reverse harem is the guys always have like very distinct scents. And I think that's hysterical, and I want to have a bunch of bookmarks that are like eau de boy of whatever scent that character is identified by. But I'm having more problems with that because the company that does the scratch and sniff wants to do the printing too, and it's more expensive, and I'm not sure I like the quality of their printing. So I'm still looking into that, but I think that would be hysterical. And the scrabbling of feet you hear is my dog. He is a big Alaskan Malamute German Shepherd, and as far as I can tell, he is still in the puppy velociraptor stage and never sleeps. So you just get to hear nails on wood floors. I'm sorry. Why? Oh, nope, I've got one more bag of pens, and that's why I'm not finding it. Let's see if it's in here. Nope, these are all Copics, and none of them are the color I need. Let's try 39, 147, 145, 31. It's not in the greens, is it? No. Well, I'm just going to pick a different color. How about 32? What is 30? No, that's too dark. I could do like a sunflower shade with this. That would be pretty. That's 44. Whoops. So I'm drafting this zombie book and trying to come up with the most ridiculous, non-scary zombies you can come up with, because I don't really enjoy horror, and I don't like being scared, but I freaking love zombies, okay? Like, I just find them fascinating. When I was younger, I used to be absolutely terrified of them, and now that I'm older, I find them less scary and more fascinating. So I read a ton of zombie fiction. But it's a reverse harem, so there will be multiple boy characters and one female character. It's pretty standard for the genre not to have a second female character in the harem, although sometimes you do. There's always exceptions. Authors learn the rules so that they can break them. Let me think about this. What color should I do? I think like a deep green might be pretty against this dark green, since I used too close of colors. Like a deep olive would be good. 43, 43, 42, 48, 43. I did a ton of color samples for this because otherwise these caps, like they don't match what you're trying to do with them. Well, it's a little darker than I anticipated, but not the end of the world. It's just a piece of artwork, and if I don't like it at the end, I will probably throw it out. So, like, the fun is doing the artwork. It's relaxing, it's enjoyable, and I don't actually care about the end result that much. But I want other people to have the chance to color these characters too, so that's something that I offer when I send books, is coloring sheets. And like, if you're watching this, I don't know if anybody is, I need to come up with like a way to set up a screen so I can see what's on my phone without like standing up and looking at it every time. But if you're watching this, my nails are an absolute wreck. I have been beyond stressed and have chewed the absolute living daylights out of them. So I'm sorry. Okay, so there's the base colors for this one, and let me put away the markers that I'm done with. If you can hear scratching noises in the background, it is my dog acting up. So he is a German Shepherd Malamute mix, and he is 2. So he's in the Velociraptor, I'm going to chew and destroy everything you own stage of his existence. And so keeping him entertained so he doesn't actively destroy everything you own is a challenge. Right now my husband is being very sweet and trying to keep him quiet and contained, but it's, you know, your mileage may vary. Let's see, I think I want this 621 for his cheeks, but I'm almost done. 628, 622, 27, 21. Because I kind of want like a little bit of rose. It'll lighten the tone a little, because that's kind of what alcohol markers do. That did not turn out well. Unfortunate. Let me get a brighter shade. How about, no, 612 is a cool pink. How about 89? 689? Yeah. That's more of like a peachy. And I'm going to be coloring over this with colored pencil, so don't worry too much about the details on the underlayer because you're probably not going to see very much of it. So now I am packing up the markers so that I can make space for my absolutely crazy Prismacolor marker collection. Like, I don't have any problem with getting by with cheap alcohol markers because most of the time I cover them. But for the colored pencils, like Prismacolor, it's got to be Prismacolor. And if you're wondering how I can afford Prismacolors on my budget, that's the dog. Those are nails on hardwood, sorry. I go to eBay, find art students who are selling their Prismacolor set that they bought and use like 2 pencils of. And then I have a full set of Prismacolors for usually around $45, $50. Because, you know, you go to college, you get excited, you start that art class, you buy the fanciest supplies you can afford, and if you don't continue in art, or it's not your thing, or maybe colored pencils aren't your medium, then you're just not gonna continue with them. Hi, sweetie. Are you helping? Are you full of kisses? These are pencils. No, you cannot chew them. No, you cannot chew them. Okay. So I want this kind of light. I need a scrap piece of paper here. 1 second, I'm sorry. Are you helping? Hi, Birdie. I have 2 dogs, and Birdie is a hound Malamute mix, and she is much quieter. She is about 5, and she is not as prone to destroying everything known to man as my younger boy is. I think starting the lips with this color will help. But these are mostly Prismacolors, what I have. I really enjoy working with them. They're smooth, they're buttery. The only real big downside, I'd say, is that Prismacolors, when you sharpen them, like to break and break and break and break. That's not light enough. I need a lighter color. You can't actually see my Prismacolor set in there. Just believe me that I have a million of them. Too light. But I go on eBay and I hunt down art students that are selling their art supplies because it just wasn't a fit for them or whatever reason they might have. And that's how I get my art supplies. Because they're expensive. They're just ridiculously expensive. And my joy in the hobby of coloring, my budget does not cover the amount of joy I get out of coloring, so that's my technique. I want a pink now. What pink should I use? I want kind of a reddish tone. That's an orange. Nope, that's too light. Let's try this. I didn't sample that on the paper first, and I should have. That's working out better. For my alcohol markers, I have a few sets that were like gifted to me. Not very many, because they're really expensive too. But the majority of them are Ohuhu markers. And Ohuhu are decent quality, but not light fast. So like, if you were to get this from me and you wanted to put it on your wall, that would not be a good idea because the colors would absolutely fade. Copics, of course, are the best option possible for colored markers, alcohol markers. But like a Copic, some of those Copic markers are like, depending on what type you get, they're usually around $7 or $8 a marker, and that's just absolutely insane. But they do hold light fast, and they do professional work. And if I were selling artwork, I would absolutely be sinking the money into getting Copics. But I'm not. I color for fun, and I sell books because I'm better at writing than I am at coloring. If you couldn't tell, that's the truth of it. Let me sample that. Not the right shade. This is a better shade. But this is Rhodes. This is the prints in my retelling of a Tumblr idea. So I did not think to save the Tumblr screenshot that inspired me. And if you have this screenshot, I will absolutely send you swag for it. But the idea behind my story is you got married as kids. It wasn't intended to be real, but it's legally binding for some reason. And there are a couple reverse harem authors who have run with this idea. Because it's a good idea. It's cute, it's fun, there's a million ways to write it where everything goes wrong. But I did not think to save that screen capture. Which, as an aside, I send swag for stuff. So like if you find a typo in here, go to my webpage, which is reneewhitman.com, and tell me that you found a typo and include your address and I'll send you swag. Usually a screen capture is the best way so I can find it easier. This is super zen. Like, you may not be enjoying watching it, but I'm definitely having fun doing this. And colored pencil is very good for smoothing out where the markers left uneven spots. But I give swag for typos. If you catch me in the wild, I will absolutely send you swag. I don't usually have it on me, but if you catch me, I will send it to you. Typos is the big one because like nobody wants typos in their novel. I hire an amazing proofreader to get rid of my typos and they still sneak in there. And we go through like 6 different passes of hunting down typos in an attempt to get rid of them. So if that gives you an idea of how persistent they are despite your best efforts. I'm doing kind of a limb light here. So I give typos, I give swag for typos, I give swag if you catch me in the wild. I actually have a little free library that I have in my neighborhood, and if you catch me there, like if you catch something of mine there, I also put swag in there. And that's just, I read so much. And like you can't keep every book you read, I just don't have space for it. So I put my mom's books, she just passed, and my books in this little free library. And it has my logo on it, like I'm not hiding where I live or anything like that. Just having a website registered under your name puts your address out there, and I don't have a P.O. box, so it is what it is. Let's see which one of these was the one I wanted. That one. If you order a book of mine, if you order a paper copy, I send swag with the paper copy. I have like 1 million stickers. And I will hopefully in the near future have scratch and sniff bookmarks is my hope. And I just started working with a new artist who, the artist that this work was done by, like these particular pieces, and the full color pieces, because she didn't just do them as line art, she did them as full color. Her name is Chelsea Chira, Chira, and she has an Instagram and she does amazing work, and she damaged her wrist and hasn't been taking on as much. And I had just started working with her when my mom got sick and my husband shattered his leg, and I'm not even exaggerating, he shattered his leg. And my dog died. and like it was a country song. Everything went wrong. My editor almost died. Everything went wrong. So I had just started working with her, and so I don't have a lot of artwork from her. But I recently ran across a post from another artist who needs to make bills float, and so she was offering beautiful artwork at a ridiculously low price, and I told her that. Like, you... She said, it's just for the sale, and I'm like, I hope you are not charging this for your artwork, because it's worth so much more than that. But she's going to be doing some artwork for me, and I warned her in advance that I would definitely want the line art for it so I can do more coloring pages. I know this is scintillating to watch, but I like watching art YouTubers. Usually they have some sort of scripted, oh, we're going to talk about this today thing. I don't. I just ramble. Oh, I want that pink there. Wow, too bright. A little too bright. And the nice thing about these is these are just like little postcards that I made off of Vistaprint. So like, if I don't like how one of these turns out after I've colored it, I can just toss it. And I don't even have to feel bad about that because they're just copies. Like the color artwork that the artist did is just amazing. It's so good. And I love being able to support an actual artist and not AI. I need kind of a light brown for this. How about this one? Gotta kind of do this limb light on him. I don't know how to say that. I just know what it is. I like being able to support an actual artist and not AI. Because, like, seriously, if my boat rises, I'm bringing as many people with me as possible. I'm going to bring the editor, I'll bring all the artists. I have a friend in Australia who does, like, personal assistant stuff for me because she's amazing. Bringing everybody with me if I succeed at things. And so I am more than willing to pay to have a real artist do artwork for me. And I pay for an editor for multiple stages of my work. Oops, let's do this side. Because I have it go past my beta readers first, and that's Maria. And she tells me whether I'm being particularly dumb about stuff, or things that I'm missing, or things that I didn't think of. And she also keeps track of things like so-and-so smells like campfire smoke, and like sets that up in a, it's ironically called a camp, the program is called Campfire. And it's got all the details for all my characters, because when you have a traditional romance and you've got a guy and a girl, you don't have to remember nearly as much minute information as you do if you write reverse harem like I do. And nothing will throw your reader out of the story faster than having a certain image of your male character and you bomb that image because you forgot their eye color, or, you know, like, it seems like a minute detail, but it's easy to forget, especially if you go through and you change something and then you have to track it down and change it everywhere in the book. So Maria is my beta reader, and she does personal assistant stuff for me. Sometimes she'll moderate my Facebook page for me. Not that it's very active, but if I'm not available for some reason, she'll keep an eye on that so that trolls don't take over. And then after it goes through my beta reader, it usually goes to a content editor. And that is currently Ethan, and he's amazing. If I do a good enough job on the edits after the content editor has gone through, then it goes to line edits, which scintillating conversation, I know, but And that was Steph Toshkov. But she does Sam Hall, not Sam Hill. Sam Hall's reverse harem books, and Sam Hall is a prolifically fast drafter. Like, she's really good at what she does, and she's fast at it, and I am not. But it means that Steph is often swamped with books incoming from that particular author and one of the other authors that she works with that's a fast drafter. I'm fast at rough drafting, but my edits take forever. And then after, well, this time I won't be going through Steph for line edits. I'll probably be going through Anthony. And then after line edits, it goes to Anthony again for proofreading, and that is something I'm actually really proud of, even though it's not my work, is that he is really good at proofreading, and one of the more common reviews I get is that it's a clean draft, that there aren't typos and weird, and that is 100% Anthony's efforts, because I spawn typos like crazy every time I write. He also checks for consistency. If I capitalize something in chapter 1, it's still capitalized every time I use it in chapter 20. But he's really good at what he does. And I really appreciate the ability to work with these people, because they're very, very good at what they do. They're really nice people. And anytime I'm at all successful, I want to drag them up with me, because they've put in the work. They absolutely deserve to be successful too. So, and I will absolutely talk them up all the time because they're amazing. I'm tempted to leave this background kind of cloudy looking. Might be fun. It sounds like, and don't let me jinx myself, but it sounds like my puppy is currently taking a nap. Either he's taking a nap or he's destroying something. But I think he's taking a nap. Okay. What green do I want for this? I think I want this one. Well, I should work on his eyes, because they're just not popping like I want them to. Kind of work some color into the corner there. I am coloring over the pupil a little to make that color more apparent. And I want a green for the other one. It matches his shirt, so something lighter. Kind of a yellowy green. But what my parents taught me growing up is anyone who works with you to help you succeed should succeed with you. So, but last year was a little crazy. Last year was a country song. My husband tripped over our geriatric at that time dog and shattered his leg into 8 pieces, which I don't even know how you do that. He was literally just standing in the backyard with a bucket of water and tripped over the dog and his leg shattered. So that was awful. And then my mom went into hospice, and the geriatric dog that tripped him declined pretty quickly while I was taking care of my husband, because he couldn't do anything. When your leg is broken. He's got 13 pieces of hardware. No, 13 screws and a plate and a rod in there right now. And I am beyond grateful that his mom had insisted that we get decent insurance for him, because before we got the bill, before insurance paid, the total bill for his hospital stay and his surgeries and everything was over $375,000. and we only ended up paying about $15,000. Which only, right? Like, that's a ridiculous amount of money. But they saved his leg. And, like, when I Googled the break that first night, as, like, they told me the name of the break, I forget what it was. And I Googled it, and it was like, obviously they'll, like, remove the leg because this doesn't heal right. And I was like, oh my God. I am not telling my husband that they think he's going to lose his leg. Like, I'm just not. But they fixed it. He's walking with a cane. He's got pain with it, but they saved the leg. So my husband shattered his leg, and that was like 4 months where I had to do everything, like even get him to the bathroom, like the whole 9 yards. And my mom went into hospice, so then I was shuffling, caring for my husband with going over and caring for my mom. And then the geriatric dog that tripped him initially, he was a wolf dog. He's an absolute sweetheart. He died. And it was just like, it was a country song. My life was a country song, and it was awful. And my editor almost died, which is his story to tell, but like, it was bad. And it was a bad year. And so I had the sequel to this book as a pre-order for the end of October, and I did get it drafted before then. I got it drafted by the end of August. But I had been so messed up by everything going by that the draft was just a hot mess. And it just wasn't good to release. And then I just couldn't do it. Which sounds like a cop-out, but like... So I'm back on the horse. My mom passed on the 26th of September. So we're not doing great, but it wasn't a surprise either. And Captured Pawn, which is the book after this, goes to my new editor in just a couple weeks, about 15 days, because that's when he had time and my budget would allow me to pay him properly, because you want to pay everybody properly. I'm not going to shortchange someone. And he has like a 2-week turnaround, so I expect to see it back at least by the end of November, like at the absolute latest. And then it'll be enacting his edits, and I have not worked with him before, but with my other editor, the way it works is he sends me back a list of like, you need to fix all these things, and you didn't think of this, and this was inconsistent, and all said like in super snarky, like hysterically funny commentary in the lines of my Word document, which I love. I love editing. So I'm hoping this new editor will also be hysterically funny, because it makes editing a real joy to do. I am not touchy about edits. I'm not touchy about being corrected in my books and told to do things differently or that this doesn't work, because it's like a puzzle. You want it to go together in a pleasing, complete form. And if it's not working, it's not working. But I like snarky editors. So like the more sass and snark and sarcasm they have, the happier I am working with them. And so that'll go to the editor in 2 weeks, and I'd like to get Captured Pawn released by Christmas, but I am so hesitant to do a pre-order after blowing one that I don't want to do that to people again. So what I'll probably do is it'll go live silently, and then I'll do an announcement. That way I don't have people waiting who could possibly be disappointed. I'd rather just like wake it up and then say, surprise, it's done. And I think I need a little bit of this blue in his shirt. I think his shirt is too light. And I need a little bit of limelight on his shirt, outer shirt as well. But this year I have been, first I was taking care of Mom until she passed. And I was taking classes at the same time because I didn't have my shit together well enough to write. And my editor was not well enough to edit. But I still want to be progressing at my craft and getting better at writing. And so I was taking classes, and I ran into Inez Johnson's classes, which if you're an author, you've probably heard of her. She's amazing. And I took a class with Kate Hall. And Kate Hall was the one who was like, the worst that happens if you go on TikTok and make an ass of yourself, which I'm probably very good at doing, is that somebody will film it and share it to the internet, and that lasts for like 15 minutes of misery, and then you're done. So we're trying. Okay, I want an acrylic marker for this. Let's see. I also use gel pens for this, but I don't know where my gel pen went. And this is just waking up the final details to make it pop. I don't know if that looks like fangs. Not what I wanted, but not the end of the world either. And a little bit of white here to wake up the corner of his eyes and make them look brighter. That works. Kind of dull. So that's my live. My name's Renee Whitman. I write reverse harems. I usually write urban fantasy or paranormal romance. The reverse harem I'm drafting right now is a zombie post-apocalyptic reverse harem, which has just been ridiculously fun to do. And yeah. Nice to see you all. Oh my God, there's actually people here. Thank you for watching me color, and I am done for the night. I don't actually know how to turn this off. Let's see. Nope, not that. Thank you for joining me, and have a good night.